What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a deschloroketamine trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Slant Brown, and was submitted to Erowid in 2019 by the user Mouth Spiral. With all that being said, let our story begin. Substance: deschloroketamine, otherwise known as 2-OXO-PCM or DCK. Dosage: 15 milligrams and 30 milligrams on separate occasions. Route of administration: oral. Person: 21-year-old male, 5'9" height, and weight 8 stone or 112 pounds. And finally, setting: my bedroom/student house in London at nighttime. This is my first ever written trip report, despite over the past few years having had many psychoactive experiences. I could say I wasn't smart enough before, or didn't have the courage to trip alone and write. These were things that were out of my awareness. However, it's beautiful to be able to do these things now, despite thinking that all these trip reports I read growing up were out of my ability. I'm very dyslexic. So it's been wonderful to be able to improve my writing and have some great drug experiences. I truly see the process of doing trip reports as a brilliant way to progress with a load of things. Writing, creative inspiration, poetry and lyrics, visual art, musical ideas, self-improvement, and getting to encounter and feel new perceptions. These two experiences down below were had with this chemical a little earlier in the year. My time to write out a full report from all my notes had been put aside for quite some time. I'll blame that on my laziness. Both trials happened around March 2018 while still living in London. It's now November. I am no longer living there and still don't have a full write-up. Well, it's been written as you read. In the few months leading up to these experiences, I'd gained quite the interest and appetite for dissociative substances. Having only tried ketamine, I thought I'd give some other chemicals from this family a try. Deschloroketamine became available to me through an online vendor. Through much research, it seemed to be a longer-lasting, more potent psychedelic version of ketamine. Two features I would enjoy for sure. The drug arrived in crystalline form. When handling the crystals between fingers, a light oily residue would remain on my fingers. Not heavy in any way, but lightly noticeable. My mental state during this period was, to be honest, very terrible. I was amid a depressive episode that had lasted 2 years ongoing. Despite being offered medication, I simply stuck to seeing a psychotherapist weekly. My drug use halted for the first half of this period, but due to my tendencies to be drawn to fantasy, I began the odd dissociative trip for augmentation of consciousness, creative inspiration, and the occasional relief of my mental health issues. No negative side effects occurred, if not more positives could be noted. The first report was mild, yet highly enjoyable, whilst the second was completely immersive. A mystery on itself, that even on reflection time and time again reveals more to me. Like a great art piece, but in memory and experience. Genuinely profound and interesting experiences are like this always. First trial. 22:18 p.m. Weigh out 15 milligrams of DCK and take it orally in a gelatin capsule. 22:26 p.m. I lay down with my laptop on my sofa bed, which is situated by a large living room window looking out onto the street. Orange streetlights shine through the windows into my dark room. The only lights around me, my white laptop screen, and the orange streetlights. I put on Spectrum, Soul Kiss, starting with the second track on the album. I'll say Peter Kember is one of my favorite musicians. 22:29 p.m. Whilst waiting for the effects to take hold, my thoughts wander to the introspective as they do, leading to classic thoughts that had been recurring in my mind for the past year. 22:44 p.m. A little nausea begins to slowly seep in. Unexpected. Nothing too prominent, but there. Just an unsettling of the stomach. It passes quickly and gives rise to new sensations. My belly feels warm, like something is emerging from within. My skin is sensitive and prickly, like I can feel a coat of sweat all over my body. Cognitive improvement is noted, and I begin to feel more at peace. I'm excited laying here under the covers. 22:51 p.m. Getting up to go get some water. The effects have come on. Feeling very dissociated. That slow, murky and skipping sensation as I move through space and time is here. Coming back, typing is much more difficult. Time begins to warp. I make a playlist of Harold Budd, Susumu Yokota, and Aphex Twin. Lay down, headphones on, and fall into a mild and gentle dissociative state. 23:13 p.m. The experience is here. The general feeling of returning to a similar place comes down on me. A classic dissociative feel. I am back in the data fields with eyes closed. Giant swirling cogs and mechanical images pulse and expand across my eyes. That sensation of traveling through data, or something computerized, themes my time here. The colors are prominently orange, visiting landscapes and falling through matter. My thought process is clear and lands in the introspective space. I'm still grounded in a reality that has gently shifted, so I haven't been taken far out in any way yet. The space is euphoric and enjoyable. I'm just laying here, feeling warm and pleasant, listening and analyzing great music with a visual show. 23:43 p.m. A slight manic edge and stimulation is shown. Nothing too intense, but something I haven't experienced with ketamine. 12:14 a.m. Listening to Susumu Yokota's album Sakura, one of the finest albums of electronic ambient music. I recall listening to this album walking home from sixth form at 17 years old. There is a manic quality to the drug. My thoughts race and go from topic to topic with energy and speed. Nothing strong but noticeable. 12:40 a.m. I am immensely euphoric. The album has reached a climax in the middle. Azukiro no Kaori and Kodomatachi play as I feel immersed in a new world. Opening my eyes, I watch the light shine through the window. My environment has become disturbingly beautiful. I fist pump the air and begin taking my life apart in mind. The mania has increased a little. My mind is racing, everything swimming and shifting. I feel joyfully mad. This drug is a lot more euphoric than ketamine. But of course it could just be the music, as it works. 1:03 a.m. The drug begins tailing off, leaving a strong stimulated edge. I put on Captain Beefheart, observatory crest, bathing in the beautiful afterglow. This DCK stuff is the shit. Loving it, serious stuff. Very excited to take it again at a higher dose. 3:03 a.m. Still awake, surfing the web. Very stimulated. This drug, even at lower doses, does not leave the body easily. My flatmate comes in, and we chat until 6 a.m. He comes to me with some issues, and I help him a little. Vice versa. Makes me feel valuable. I am here always. 6 a.m. There is snow outside, and the room has turned an ocean blue in the emerging morning light. It's pretty. Neo. I fall asleep. Trial 2. The past week before this trial had been quite the time. In fact, a hard edge had been permeating my entire existence. My dreams had been plagued with bizarre, violent, and intruding subjects and imagery. One from my diaries talks of a creepy old man trying to sexually assault me whilst locked in a giant white room with little doors up high. I'm attempting to hide here with a girl that I am deeply in love with. Together, we are deeply afraid. Another dream has me trapped in a house on a rock in the middle of nowhere. A shadow with red eyes chases me up the stairs in a sudden movement before I retreat to a room. Climbing out of the window up high, my fears lead me to take risks to lose it all. Scenes of the area where I grew up with rise to the surface and are relived. The place is brown and surreal now. Everything is dying. Me and a childhood friend, Jojo, hide a gun behind leaves. My conscious life was just as disturbing and emotional as my unconscious life. I'd witnessed a freak accident a few days prior to this experience, where a lady cycling her bike in South London lost her arm. This left me deeply scared. To see the fragility of life, and to witness something so life-changing for a person left me in a state. I don't want to make this experience about me. I wish this lady all the best for the future. Let's just say this week had been extremely dramatic and emotional, reflecting my growing pains of the time. The months circling this period had an air, emotion, and a sense I can't describe. Just a feeling for me. Looking back now whilst writing this, a very special time indeed. On the Friday evening, unplanned sitting in my room alone, whilst my housemates were out, I decided to ingest a larger dose of the DCK, which had been sitting untouched for a month since my last trial. For what came to be one of the most interesting drug experiences I'd had in a while. The combination of all the inner turmoil, imagery that had come across my eyelids this week, my emotional state of mind, and this drug produced an experience for the ages. 23:31 p.m. Ingested 30 milligrams of DCK, deschloroketamine, in a gelatin capsule on March 16, 2018. Sitting comfortable on my sofa bed at nighttime with one lamp shining, I await the drug to take effect. Thinking of my week, it's not pretty. I focused my mind on a book I'm reading. 23:45 p.m. A little stomach movement, something developing within. 12:07 a.m. Still reading, feel very still and calm. simply content to be alone at night, safe in my room, reading and learning about topics I'm interested in. 12:22 a.m. The effect may be coming on now. My hands shake. Placing the book down as reading is no longer possible. A warmth is coming into play. A sensation of something infiltrating my mind, taking control. Falling, let's say. 12:29 a.m. Despite no total effects occurring, its physical effects are coming on strong. I know in not too long I will sink within. I put on the playlist of music I'd made just before. The soundtrack will begin with two of my most deeply treasured albums, Talk Talk, Spirit of Eden, and Laughing Stock, masterpieces and apex of music. 12:33 a.m. From this moment on, things begin to get hazy. With a tender and soft quality, my world begins to slip. The room is no longer my room. It looks the same, but deep down I know it is not the same place. The ongoing radio signal of my brain and perception of reality has shifted. It's been given new wiring. A sense of being given access to a new plane of reality. My room begins to exist as if it is in a different dimension. One lost in a surreal dream world. I remember looking up at my wall and getting this heavy, otherworldly quality. A sensation of entering a brown cave with touches of darkness and anticipation. Closing my eyes, steadily images begin to form with increasing dimensionality, as if a world is forming itself part by part. From 2D images to potent 3-dimensional images form. This screen is a new reality. Patterns pulse from the side. Patterns morph into landscapes, landscapes into scenes. The screen extends in length in front of my eyes, with lines moving inwards beautifully. A whole new world is made, stretching to infinity, it seems. Giant edifices now lie in front of my eyes, blocks that extend upwards to a dark black sky above. I see the door of the building in front of me, before it transforms into another space without ever satisfying my curiosity. On the notes I see that thoughts had become abstract and poetic. Time ceases to exist. But in Mother is darkness, brown colliding, I write. Jagged thoughts begin to plague me here, progressing to sensations of difficulty and confusion. I get perceptions in my mind of blue visions of my body laying down. I start to move my body in ritual patterns to the music, thrusted from vision to vision. I sense a door is being opened. The opening door is the unfolding of this experience. I've never found a drug with such powerful closed-eye visuals. Around this point, Mark Hollis's voice in the rainbow utters the words, "Oh yeah, the world's turned upside down," like a signal from the music. The pace and mood of the piece soundtracks the perfect introduction to my experience. From around this moment on, I am completely taken and enveloped with the mighty force of the drug. I remove my clothes naturally and begin to fight a battle in the darkness. A hurricane has taken form in my mind. This drug has completely taken me into another realm with such potency. The experience has a strong spiritual component. I feel as if I am a lone person in a desert, on a mission to survive. to endure the mental and physical difficulty of my situation. The topics of the musical lyrics and sounds after the flood, Eden, Ascension Day, theme my time. There is a heavy sense of rapture, of facing my fears and dealing with the utter breakdown of my reality, fighting a battle in my imagination. The visions begin to progress in much more vivid detail. There is a heavy amount of, let's say, mind fuck and confusion. Constant throwing and changing of thoughts to the bizarre and to the beautiful. I write in my notebook rigorously, and with all intense emotions running through me, mania has taken over. I draw abstract shapes and write thoughts that come up quickly. Throughout this time, I go back and forth from eyes closed to attempting to write with eyes open. I get strange delusions and crazy ideas. However, slowly my ability to write in my notebook becomes impossible. My writing loses all structure. I throw myself physically across the sofa. Laying down, I move violently from side to side. This whole period, I am screaming in my mind, what the actual fuck, pulling me in all directions violently. I wish it was possible to truly describe what happened here, but from here on, reality loses all coherency. The sounds and visions completely immerse me, a fall down into a hole of some sorts, a descent into the underworld. I enter another room. Empty, dark rooms with white and black scribbles all over the walls. No sense of language can be read in these writings. To surrealist passageways with lengths of infinity. The walls are long and tall, stretching to edges I cannot see. The colors here are prominently gray, brown, and black. During this point, the imagery I see is consistent for a period. The walls and passageways of imagination begin to change form, to a collection of fused babies morphing and moving together. The screams echo through the passageways. My imagination forms a story of this wall of children, creating and teleporting me to a new room. I travel along the attic, house and rooms once inhabited by a child. Toys and toy houses are littered around. This is no fairy tale world. Everything is destroyed and aging. A house where once there was joy and love has now been replaced with decay. The parents have abandoned their home. The child passed away, leaving the couple in anguish. No longer able to cope, have disappeared to new homes, leaving the land of joy behind to rot. I am never afraid here, despite the unsettling themes. Laughingstock has ended, bringing forth the next cued music. John Adams' grand pianola. The combination of the minimalist tonal piano and the horrific images and themes give me a cinematic experience of grand proportions. I travel sideways through rooms of this dark red house, soundtracked by the repetitive changing piano phrases. A sensation of moving through time and space with the music and images. It is utterly beautiful and profoundly moving. It is here that the extent of the experience has come down to me. I've plateaued. Opening my eyes suddenly, I am surrounded by two-dimensional figures hovering around me. They are crowded in a circle surrounding me, all with fixed expressions. They don't move. Static, menacing humans. The heavy details are obscured in the dark. it becomes apparent that they are all looking down in the same direction, peering down into another field. I decide to get closer, joining them and looking down with them. Peering over, I see a black mouse maze, much like the types you see in science experiments. However, here we see no mouses, but tiny like people opening and closing lots of doors in the maze. The doors have radioactive signs on them. The lights of the signs illuminate the corridors of the paths around the entire overview of the maze. With my newfound friends, we gaze down together. There are moments where the entire field of my vision collapses. The bedroom window I am gazing upon transforms into a brown wall of dirt, the inside of a hole in the earth. This is now my spatial position. It begins to fall apart before my eyes. The room that once was has now vanished. I've teleported to a different space. Not only do I get the visual image, but my body experiences the sensation of disintegration as bit by bit my waking self is deconstructed and reconstructed into the world of my imagination. In this realm, one travels sideways, space after space. My confusion has become subdued, calmingly accepting these scenes, images, and feelings. I recall being so far removed from myself that any fear was gone for a period, simply dissolving and traveling from dimension to space with utterly beautiful music. This, however, doesn't last long. A horrific scene occurs in the dreamland of rooms and scenes, where behind a gray landscape, but paradoxically a wall, much like a K-Sage painting, blood begins to form and pour around in a heavily fixed point in my field of vision, expanding and taking over my view. It's excruciatingly painful to glance. The horror is too strong. I open my eyes in depression and fright, left in a state of dread. This drug is extremely potent. I see swimming pools in the darkness filled with blood, splashes on walls. A man going crazy turns into a soul man. Blood falls from the trees, the water is over. He falls through sounds till all that is left is beauty. I see a tunnel, dark and eerie. Peeping through everything, it begins to shake furiously. I am the master harmer. Of course we come. Of course we come. Battles with the drug in my system begin. Most of my visions deeply disturb me. I should not have seen the things I've seen. In this state, my mind reaches the conclusion, because of the things I've seen, I should be placed in a mental institution. The things are too powerful for me to keep ingrained in my memories. All the scenes above happened at some point between 1 and 3 a.m. Time is not linear, but I seem to exist being thrown in a disorganized fashion from time to space, from space to minute. No moment happens in time, but in place where we just have a collection of happenings simultaneously. All I can say, it was wild. Physically, mentally, and emotionally powerful, whilst in the midst of the peak hours, laying down in my pitch-black room absorbed in the experience. Suddenly a beaming light shines through from the window above my door. My room is instantly transformed into a different space. Laying here completely nude and manic in my suggestive state, I'm startled. I can't comprehend light this bright exists. A god? I can't believe I thought that. or someone in the house that knows of my craziness and has called an ambulance. In my most fragile and potent states, I believe this. Within moments, the light goes back off. I'm left in darkness again, where I feel safe. As the more potent drug effects come to an end at 3 a.m., the time after is spent in a post-experience malaise. I feel poised, broken, and to be honest, quite damaged. This drug wants to leave my system. The sedation is incredibly heavy and all-encompassing. I get up to go get some water for the first time. The dehydration I feel is very severe. As I walk there, I get the sensation that I am quite literally searing or fizzing. This is odd. My thoughts have been limited to nothing. The sedation on my mind is so strong that nothing can be brought up at this point. The next few hours are spent in excessive stimulation. Simply laying down, time passes quickly here, as my inner thoughts have been reduced to practically nothing. When I close my eyes, anything I think transforms into images behind my eyes, to purple moving sparks, to mountains of snow. I revisited some places I'd been in Italy as well. By 8 in the morning, I'm able to watch random videos on YouTube and begin writing about the experience and some reflections based on my time here. Listening to music, I get overwhelmed. I cry dramatically on small/significant things. I'm a little bit of an emotional mess. My written reflections here are of a naive but introspective nature. Sweet me. It's 11 a.m. and still no signs of sleep. I hear my friends wake up and go up to greet them. Instantly they can tell something's happened. To begin with, I can barely talk. The words that exit my mouth stutter and tremble. My ability to be a fully functional human being has not returned yet. I told them I've just had an experience of immense proportions. My voice is very serious and stern. Trying to laugh appears fake. This drug has really had such powerful effects on every element of my being here. The whole of the remainder of the day, I hang out with my flatmates and ease back into a normal state of mind. Generally just feeling tired from a lack of sleep and the lingering residue of having an experience like this. By the following day, a warm afterglow is noted that remains into the week. Overall, this experience seems to sum up my fall and descent into the underworld, or honestly, a mental breakdown that occurred around August 2016 in my actual existence, lasting 3 years. A complete mental breakdown and stripping of my former self, and giving me a profound and transformative experience. This drug experience, on reflection, seems to capture a lot of sensations, imagery, and physicality of this period. It's like I was already in a bit of a hole, and this drug made me puncture even deeper into the hole. To be honest, due to the potency of the experience, I have been afraid to try it again. It really took me to a scary place. Beautiful, but horrifying. Of course, it's because of my life at the time, and also my sensitivity to all drugs. I don't see that as a bad thing, just less material for me. However, it seems to sum up what I love about psychoactive drugs. Takes me to a place where I can experience my imagination in such detail, whilst giving me a profound emotional and sensory experience. Still, I feel the drug had too many physical side effects, making me feel quite poisoned. With the sedation so heavy, it made me feel dumb for hours after. I'm not sure if I will take it again. I'm not a compulsive drug user. If something moved me like this, I feel no need to repeat it. The memory should be left alone. Saying that, it could be one of my favorite drugs. Alright, everybody. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share with us your DCK experiences down in the comments. Check out the other videos and playlists on my channel. And I will see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.